This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
It's precisely 1:15. This is the news on Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News is edited by Catherine Pereira and assisted by Sarangani. News is read by Sabrina Zawahir. First, the headlines. Ranjan Ramanayaka sentenced to 4 years of rigorous imprisonment. Minister Deagaman Pilla says that the government has taken measures to pay the debt and interest without any shortage. Prasanna Ranatunga reject the allegations made by the opposition regarding the effects of parliamentary COVID cluster to the society. Parliamentary activities will be conducted according to the health guidelines. 569 COVID-infected persons have been identified. And in world news, FBI warnings amid fears of more pro-Trump violence. Now the local news in detail. The Supreme Court has sentenced parliamentarian Ranjan Ramanayaka to 4 years of rigorous imprisonment over a case of contempt of court last month. The Supreme Court judge bench scheduled further clarifications on the contempt of court case for today. The case was filed against former State Minister Ranjan Ramanayaka over contempt of court charges for making defamatory remarks against the judiciary on the 21st of August in 2017. Retired Air Force Officer Sunil Pereira and Venerable Magalakande Sudattathera later filed 2 petitions with the Supreme Court alleging that such defamatory comments can shatter public confidence and provide a warped image of the judiciary to the people of Sri Lanka. Accordingly, his portfolio will be abolished. Secretary of the Samagi Jama Balawegaya, Ranjit Madhuma Bandara, stated that Ajit Mana Peruma, who obtained the highest preferential votes, will be qualified for this post. Cabinet media spokesman Minister Deagaman Pilla says that $6,765 million has to be paid as interest for foreign debt installment this year. Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa explained facts to the cabinet yesterday regarding the country's debt burden. Participating at the cabinet briefing held in Colombo today, the minister said that $5,351 million should be paid as debt installment. The rest has to be paid as interest. Last year, $6.8 million was paid as debt installment. The minister also stated that the government will act to pay the relevant debt installment and the interest without any shortage this year. The government hopes to obtain loans from local financial sources this year. Accordingly, 2,997 million rupees ought to be obtained through the Parliamentary Appropriation Draft Bill. He further said that the government has decided not to take foreign loans for larger scale projects as a policy. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga says that the opposition is propagating false information of effects on creating a parliamentary cluster to the society. He told the SLBC that the health sector and the parliament has taken necessary measures to prevent the spread of coronavirus to the society. The health safety has been confirmed by conducting PCR tests and disinfected the parliament. Parliamentarian Ashok Abesingha said that the government should pay more attention to prevent the spread of COVID in the society. Although some schools were opened yesterday, the government has not taken any measures to disinfect the schools. This news is brought to you by Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
Save your card with a balance transfer facility from People's Bank. More details at peoplesbank.lk.
Continuing local news, A total of 31 members of parliament have been identified as close contacts of the parliamentarian Rauf Hakim and Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara. This includes 10 MPs who were identified as close associates of Minister Vasudeva Nanayakkara who had tested positive for the virus earlier today. Sergeant-at-Arms Narendra Fernando stated that the parliamentarians identified as the minister's first contacts as well as relevant authorities have been notified. The remaining 20 parliamentarians are close contacts of State Minister Dayasiri Jayasekara and MP Rauf Hakim, who have also previously tested positive for COVID-19. Health officials have taken steps to carry out PCR testing from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. on January 13th and 15th, while the Speaker of Parliament has notified the MPs to participate in the testing. Meanwhile, the Secretary-General of Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayake, states that the proceedings of Parliament will continue in accordance with health guidelines given by the health authorities. He said that discussions had been held with the health authorities regarding the situation and that all the places where the COVID-19 infected MPs were staying had been disinfected by now. 569 COVID-infected persons have been identified this morning. The National Operations Centre to Prevent the Spread of COVID-19 says that 110 patients were reported from the Kaltara district, 88 from the Gampaha and 52 from the Kegol district. The overall Minuwangoda cluster stands at 45,164. Out of this number, 39,333 have recovered. The overall corona-infected persons reported from the country is 48,951. Out of this total number, 42,090 have left the hospital after recovery. Another 8 corona deaths were reported this morning. Accordingly, the overall corona deaths reported from the country is 240. Meanwhile, it has been confirmed that 11 officers of the Ozo Hotel in Vellavatta have been infected with coronavirus. With that, we conclude the local news. Next up is the main news story.
Save your card with the balance transfer facility from People's Bank. Transfer the balance of another credit card to a People's Bank credit card with the lowest interest rate. More details at www.peoplesbank.lk.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Vedha Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedha Mahatmya.
Police media spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana says that 121 persons have been taken into custody for not wearing face masks at a raid conducted in the Western Province yesterday. Accordingly, 2,334 persons have been taken into custody for violating the quarantine rules. All these persons have been subjected for PCR tests and rapid antigen test. That was our main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Vedha Mahatmya.
Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
In Watchlight, it has been reported that there is a severe shortage related to coconut products in the southern province. The traditional industrialists in the area complain that their coir industry has been affected due to this reason. A high official of the Coconut Development Authority said that the coconut peel is selling at high prices in another area. They request the relevant authorities to take speedy measures to safeguard this industry. That came to you in Watchlight. A bulletin of world news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader.
The headlines of the world news. FBI warnings amid fears of more pro-Trump violence. Indonesia's black box locator damaged. Around half of intensive care patients in Wales are dying. Now the world news in detail. The FBI is warning of the possibility of armed protests being held across the US in the days before Joe Biden is sworn in as president. There are reports of armed groups planning to gather at all 50 state capitals and in Washington, D.C. in the run-up to his 20th January inauguration. The fears come as the security plans are hardened for the event itself. On Monday, Mr. Biden told reporters he was not afraid to take the oath of office outside of the U.S. Capitol. Both he and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris are still expected to be sworn in outside the building, only 2 weeks after it was the site of a deadly raid by radical supporters of President Donald Trump opposing the election result. A device that Indonesia is using to locate the black boxes of the crashed Sriwijaya airplane is suffering from technical problems or equipment damage, says officials. Authorities are waiting for a new ping locator to arrive from Singapore. Sriwijaya Air's flight SJI-82 left Jakarta with 62 people on board but vanished from the radar on its way to Borneo Island on Saturday. Search teams have so far found aircraft parts and human remains. Around half of the patients admitted to Welsh intensive care units during the second wave of the pandemic have died, a study has found. The Intensive Care National Audit and Research Centre found men aged in their 60s were more likely to need the intensive care. It's also found those from Asian backgrounds and deprived areas were disproportionately affected. But a leading doctor said overall people were more likely to survive now. With that, we conclude the world news, the headlines of the world news once again, prior to concluding the foreign news. FBI warnings amid fears of more pro-Trump violence. Indonesia's black box locator damaged. Around half of intensive care patients in Wales are dying. With that, we conclude the world news. The development news follows.
World News. Brought to you by courtesy of...
From the first step you take till the time we meet, the trusted leader prioritizes you always.
All you need under one roof. People's Leasing, the trusted leader. In development news, the foundation stone for the new container freight station was laid recently at the Unity Container Terminal premises of Sri Lanka Ports Authority to improve the quality of the container handling facilities at the Port of Colombo. The event was held with the initiative of Minister of Ports and Shipping, Rohitha Begunawardana, and with the participation of State Minister Jayantha Samarawira and the Chairman of Sri Lanka Ports Authority, General Dayarat Nayaka. The proposed container freight station will cover an area of 9,500 square meters for general cargo and 1,060 square meters for hazardous cargo storage. That was development news. Next up is the sports news. Taking a look at the sports news, Chairman of the Malibon Cricket Club, Kumar Sangakkara, says that the necessary path will be created to include to the Olympic Sports Festival by T10 cricket tournament. Kumar Sangakkara is also acting as an advisor of the Abu Dhabi team of the T10 tournament. Participating in a media briefing, he said that there are great matters to be done to improve this sport towards the Olympic Sports Festival.
The support of International Cricket Council is needed for it. Several powerful players will play at the T10 cricket tournament to be held from 28th to the 6th of next month in Abu Dhabi. That was sports news. Next up is the business news. In business news, the cabinet approval has been received to import frozen coconut kernels to be utilized for industries related to coconut kernel. Approval of the cabinet ministers was granted on the 12th December 2017 for the import of coconut kernels subject to certain conditions as a result of local coconut production supply being insufficient for industries related to coconut kernel. Accordingly, 2,542 metric tons of coconut kernel have been imported during a period of 8 months. It has been estimated of a shortage of 250 million coconuts for this year. That ends business news.
Economic news, courtesy of...
Congratulations on your promotion. When will be our treat, huh?
How about today?
Oh no, I was just joking.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
A project will be implemented to link international markets with the Sri Lanka's villagers in order to develop market network internationally. The objective of this move is towards the development of the country's based economy. The cabinet approval has been given to reach an agreement with regional cooperation with the State Ministry of Enterprise Development. That ends economic news.
Hello, Puta. Did you land already?
No, Amma. We're in transit and our flight got delayed.
Oh, really? How is Shani? Poor thing with her pregnancy. She might be feeling very uncomfortable. The airport must be heavily crowded because it's a season.
Amma, calm down. Everything is sorted. Why, I have my LOLC World Card with me. We are at the VIP lounge. There's nothing to worry.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
Finally, it's a look at the weather report. The Met Department says the showery weather over northern and eastern provinces is expected to continue further. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, eastern, north central, over and central provinces. Heavy showers above 100 millimeters can be expected at some places in these provinces as well. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places elsewhere after 1 p.m. That was the weather report. Prior to concluding this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. Ranjan Ramanayaka sentenced to 4 years of rigorous imprisonment. Minister Udayagamman Pilla says that the government has taken measures to pay the debt and interest without any shortage. Prasanna Ranatunga rejects the allegations made by the opposition regarding the effects of parliamentary COVID cluster to the society. Parliamentary activities will be conducted according to the health guidelines. 569 COVID-infected persons have been identified. With that, we conclude the news and over to my friend and certainly yours as well. Niranjan is all geared up to keep you entertained with a wonderful collection of music. Over to you, Niranjan.